welcome to the review of Champions. We're going to talk about episode 5 of season 2 of The Mandalorian this week, currently playing on Disney Plus. With me are Art Stanton from Florida, Maximura, and all the way from down under, Shadow is. Before we get started on our review, I would like to invite you all to join us on Sakaar. The link will be down below in the description. You can become a member and join us on the podcast or review. We hope to see you there soon. And let's start reviewing episode 5 of season 2. It's called The Jedi. It starts off actually with the Jedi, Ahsoka Tano. They didn't hold back, they just threw her in there. She has a conflict with a magistrate in a city on a forest planet. Mando lands on that forest planet after he got the direction from Bo-Katan 2 episodes back. Basically, he meets Ahsoka in the forest where they take care of the child who gets her name, Grogu. Yeah, I'm just going to drop it here. And then they free the town of the magistrate and she sends him further on his way. That is basically a quick summary of the episode, and I would like to give the word to Shadowbiz with his thoughts and feelings about this episode.
Okay, it was a fantastic episode. 11 out of 10, no doubt. My favorite episode by far. It had everything that you wanted in a Star Wars or Mandalorian episode. It had a Jedi. Not only did we get one lightsaber, we got 2 lightsabers. Interesting color, like white. We haven't seen really. I don't think we've seen that before in live action. Let's see. There's the whole like Japanese kind of oriented kind of Western feel to it. Like you mentioned before with the cinematography, awesome. What else is there? Obviously, there's like Baby Yoda. We get like a name now. It's just a whole bigger world now with the world building in Star Wars. Another planet, like you can see the trees and the people and the villages. It's an all-around great episode. I don't really have any criticisms at all. Like a slight nitpick here and there, but a great episode.
Max?
Yeah, I thought it was a great episode as well. Really difficult to find anything to complain about there. Not that that's what I'm looking for in the first place, but it was really fun to see Ahsoka come in like that. I love the introduction to her because it sets up the possibility that he's likely to come into conflict with her. And then as soon as he arrives at the village after that day delay that she gave them, you're like, oh, he's getting hired. So you're like, oh, they're going to fight. But you know they're going to meet up also. So it was very exciting to see how that was going to get resolved. I thought the conflict between them was spectacular, showing how a Mandalorian is trained specifically to fight Jedi and showing how skilled Ahsoka was to be able to overcome it like that. As soon as you looked inside the village, the first time I laid eyes on that section of just serene beauty inside the magistrate's area, I was like, oh, well, there's definitely going to be a sword fight here. It was a perfect place for it. The introduction where there was just like either the gunslinger or the old Kurosawa type thing with the dust blowing across as she walks into the village. It was just spectacular. Even the fight when they introduce her at the beginning of the episode, you can harken back to the idea of Musashi Miyamoto. There was a legend about him fighting an entire school where he hid in a tree basically and waited till they got bored and then dropped out and started running in and out of the blades of grass around him, taking out the entire group. And that kind of was what the fight sequence seemed like to me there. It was just a great episode all around. I love the name. Grogu, obviously nobody was going to be able to guess the name because, I mean, we've got 3 or 4 examples of Yoda kind anywhere, so you don't really have a naming convention set up where you know what's going to come of that. I couldn't help but think Grogurt when I heard it, though, kind of merging with the prequels. But other than that, it was a great episode. I love the training aspect. A lot of stuff tying back to Anakin. Obviously, the white sabers when those sabers were given back to her by Anakin the last time they met, he had tinkered with them and turned them blue to match his color, kind of reflecting his arrogance a bit, but also their bond. And her decision to tinker their color away, even further away from any color, kind of shows that she's kind of more in the gray Jedi direction than an actual like good Force Jedi. So I think the title of the episode, The Jedi, is actually about the Order and not about her. I don't believe she's officially a Jedi in any way, and I think her decision to use the white sabers reflects that.
Okay. Arch, any thoughts?
Yeah. Mine were more about theming. Before we started the call, we were talking about some cinematography, and I know we'd mentioned kind of the obvious sort of Japanese influence. The thing that came to mind the most to me were two films. One, Fistful of Dollars, which was a semi-remake of Yojimbo, and I thought the theming really hit both of those because Mando himself comes off as more of the Western gunslinger type, and then you get Ahsoka coming in, and she's clearly the swordsmith. And I love how that carried all the way through. Even at the end, you got kind of dueling duels, if you will. Like you had Mando in his own gunfight duel, while Ahsoka's in a sword fight duel, and he's in the more street high noon. I know it was dark, but gun battle, quick draw contest, and she's in the serene, surrounded by water, sword fight thing. So I thought they kept the theming up for both of those two films for me. I don't know if they're intentionally playing off of them or not, but that's what kind of stuck out to me. I love in between all that before you get from the start to the finish how they get into a lot of deep lore, but they kept it subtle. They didn't have her come out and say, I knew this guy Darth Vader or Anakin or whatever who was, who represented this how Jedi can fall and why I'm not going to train Gogurt there and sorry. All right. She didn't come out and say that. She just said, I've seen the best of his fall, and you know what she's talking about. But I liked how they kept that kind of subtle there and didn't really beat you over the head with it. The big question I had sort of at the end, and I don't know about this because I know Morgan had the staff, right? But can she? Is that something she can do? Is handle a dual wielding Jedi? I didn't know. I was kind of watching the whole thing, and I was like, so Ahsoka's easily winning this, right? Like I was kind of watching the whole battle like that, but I don't know. I don't know where Morgan stands in the kind of the pantheon of fighters and how she can handle herself against something like that. I was just curious. That was my big curiosity.
I personally don't think there's a lot of information on her available to back up one way or the other, but by knowing that she is somebody who works for Grand Admiral Thrawn, he is a master tactician, and he's somebody that can teach somebody to defend against their most likely problem very thoroughly. I suspect he specifically trained her for the people he knew would be coming after him. So she was as trained to fight a Jedi as you were going to get. Obviously, she was able to go toe-to-toe with Maul, who had the bow staff lightsaber with the double blade option. So really, I don't think she was going to lose that fight. She may have gotten a little careless during it to lose the one saber, but she was ready to go and took her out afterwards. So I don't think it was really a completely fair match, but she was probably surprisingly skilled for what Ahsoka thought she was coming up against.
Yeah, I figured that because Ahsoka, well, she was a Jedi. She was kind of like trying to fight, I guess, fairly and with honor in terms of trying to lower her standards to kind of meet her, I don't know, her enemy. I don't know. That's the thought that came to me. Because all that kind of training and force powers, she could have easily whooped. Like she could have easily done a flip or anything, but she kind of held back, in my opinion. That's what I thought anyway.
That's what I was wondering throughout the whole fight. Was she kind of holding back in some sort of way? I kind of felt like that throughout the fight, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, keeping the fight on equal footing, kind of, rather than going to the extreme. That seems like something you would do in an honorable fight like that. And she wanted the information. She just didn't want to destroy the woman. She wanted to beat her and get the information. So to truly beat her, I think she had to do so honorably in order to feel like she was going to get what she wanted out of her.
And that kind of makes sense because at the beginning, when she gives her 24 hours or a full day or whatever to come back, I mean, she didn't have to do that. Like, but she's like attempting to do the honorable thing, I suppose, like throughout the whole episode.
Yeah, in the end,
true.
she gave them 2 days, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay.
She did give the extra time because of the training time with Mando.
With Grogu, yeah.
Right.
I was actually quite happy because talking about the training moment, when she said she sensed much fear in Grogu, that was a further hint on Grogu being on the dark side.
You're gonna be on this all year long.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say I told you so yet, but that moment is coming, and you guys know it. But no, but actually, I thought it was a very beautiful scene. To come back to what Arch said about I seen the best of us fall and not being able to handle those emotions. That actually was quite an emotional. You could see the emotion. I think Rosario Dawson did the character of Ahsoka Tano justice, more than justice. She was awesome. Her action in the beginning, that fight she had with the soldiers outside the town, where she just shows up through the mist, was very well done. You get some very good visuals. That moment where she rises, when you see her with the lightsabers, very well done. I absolutely loved it. Overall, I thought it was a very good episode. There was a thing that I was wondering. There are not many Jedi left. That's what she said.
Right.
She sends him to is that the Jedi temple on the planet we saw on The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, where the ruins of the Jedi temple are?
I
Do we
believe
know
it's
that?
actually a different temple. The temple they're talking about is one that's always focused on balance, and I think the reason she chose to send him towards that one is because she thinks that Grogu is at a crossroads where he could choose to go evil, he could choose to go light, but by going to the Temple of Balance, I think she thinks it'll help guide him towards the path that he needs to take.
Yeah. Okay. Because I was thinking if it was the same temple, Sebastian Stan, we know him from Marvel as the Winter Soldier, Bucky Barnes, but he is also cast in The Mandalorian. And rumors are that Mark Hamill himself gave permission for Sebastian Stan to play a young Luke Skywalker.
Really?
Would that be a possibility for this Jedi? Because basically Luke Skywalker, they finish. This is 5-6 years after Return of the Jedi. Could Luke Skywalker show up in this show?
I think he definitely could show up. Given the focus on animals that you've seen throughout the show, even the Loth cat in the last episode, you could see it creeping through the alley. I feel like they're almost hinting, particularly with the name drop of Grand Admiral Thrawn, that would also lead to the return of Ezra Bridger potentially. And given the focus on animals that they've had and his inherent communications with animals, I think they could be considering Ezra Bridger also. But it could be that he gets held for the Grand Admiral show or the Ahsoka show or whatever they're spinning off there, and that they do go with the Luke option.
Mm-hmm. But besides Ezra and Luke, are there any other Jedi that could show up, or could it just be a new Jedi, or what do you guys think?
Yeah, I think it'll just be Luke, because there has been like some time ago there was like an article, but I'm not sure if it was a rumor or confirmed or anything that Luke was going to be featured in The Mandalorian, that there would be a spin-off show possibly with of young Luke. But now there's Obi-Wan, so I don't know what the play is here. So I mean, how many shows they're going to do? There's like a possible Ahsoka Tano show too. So yeah, it doesn't. Not really sure how that's going to go down.
The only thing I'd question about Luke being the one is I have no idea how that would play. Like, so Luke is already stopped Vader, but he hasn't started his school yet. Mm-hmm. So Luke would meet Grogurt here, and that's what I'm calling him. I'm sorry. He would meet him, and I'm curious where that goes. I'm not sure what Luke would do. He would abandon him somehow, or something else would happen, and he'd put him on his way somewhere else. I don't know.
He could be slain by Kylo in the thing where Kylo flips out and kills all of his trainees.
Baby Yoda could be, yeah, I guess he could be around then, right?
Oh yeah. Speaking of Kylo, that scene in the Dead Forest with the Ahsoka Tano like going through the soldiers, it reminds me of that scene with Kylo doing the same thing in the third movie, third Disney Star Wars film, where it's like in that kind of forest just chopping down soldiers too. Thought that was a nice callback, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
On references, we've not actually done our episode standard of finding a tie to Alien, and of course that is through the gunslinger that he fought. Straight back to Alien through that actor selection. So these guys will not let go of the Alien references.
Yeah. That's interesting. I knew I'd seen him before. I didn't put that together, but he was the guy in Alien?
Yes, he was also the guy that came back in time in Terminator. Kyle?
That was Kyle
Yeah,
Reese.
Kyle Reese.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did I not pick up on that? That's Kyle Reese. Are you serious?
Yeah.
No, I'll look that up later. But I didn't pick up on that. I knew I recognized him. I knew I knew him, but I couldn't quite point it out.
I mean, I didn't recognize him, but I saw it on the internet, like, yeah, they pointed it out.
Kyle Reese, interesting. You know what? I think my favorite part of the episode was the gun duel. Actually, I loved how they shot it and they filmed it where you could see the deputy guy, Kyle Reese, for lack of a better term, standing there baiting him in. He puts the gun down. I love how they shot Mando's hand coming off, and you see the guy, like, they close back in on the other guy's face, and you see him smile for a second, and Mando just blasts him. Like, it was great. The moment he goes for his gun, he just blasts him. I love that.
To me, it was a nice touch. You hear the spear drop,
Mhm.
and that it was a nice touch. And then he knew, okay, now it's time for me to take action.
One little thing that I saw people talking about too was Ahsoka's headdress.
Yes.
Yes.
Ooh.
The lectures.
And the size of
Thank
it.
you, Max, for putting that
Yeah.
on the floor.
Yeah, Aleku. Give her the proper Aleku.
They were talking about the size of it versus like how it appears in some of the animated versions. And I actually just took a moment to look that up, and they mostly scaled it back just a little bit to accommodate stunts and just general action and movement. They felt it worked a little bit better to be a little smaller. Biz, I know you were a little concerned about that, so that's one of the things I just looked it up as to why I immediately felt that they probably had a reason for doing that, and that was the reason, just for anybody that's curious.
Yeah, I thought she looked great. The first time you saw her, she took off her how do you call it, the cape or whatever. I thought she looked great as Ahsoka. There was nothing wrong with it. I'm not too familiar with her. I think I'm now 12 episodes into the Clone Wars, but I thought she looked great.
The fandom obviously is going to be the ones that have the roughest take on it, because like noses, those things just grow for their entire life, so they kind of de-aged her by doing that. I guess the question would be if it would have been worth the CGI investment to match it up to what you were expecting or not. Personally, I don't really care, but I know there's going to be a certain amount of followers that just want it to match what a being of her age would have for those tales at this point.
Yeah, but sometimes I also have the feeling there's no pleasing Star Wars fans.
It's been consistently true across the board.
Well, that was another thing. Now that you mention it, like, so when I was looking it up to try to figure out what the answer on that was, I just saw multiple images of her from the different series. I guess she's in multiple series. She's in Clone Wars and Rebels. Okay.
She's not in Clone Wars.
Either way, I saw her drawn differently. Like, the stripes were not the same patterns in each time. So it's been done differently. And usually it's kind of like recasting to me. Like, I don't worry about it looking marginally different. Like, it's just, who cares? Like, I thought she looked great. So that's all I care about.
Yeah, I really don't have an opinion on that. Simple because for one instance, the one is animated, the other is live action, so there's bound to be differences.
Right.
You know that. I saw some people fan casting that girl from Spider-Man: Homecoming, Liz, Laura Harrier.
Yep.
Do I say that correctly? Yeah, as Ahsoka because they looked more similar, but. There's 25 years at least between the end of the Clone Wars and the start of the Mandalorian. 25 years at least. I mean, if she still looks like a schoolgirl, then she needs to go to the doctor to get her hormones checked.
You just made me think of something else Max and I were talking about yesterday in terms of the future of Star Wars. Like, we don't necessarily know what the spin-off sequel or the spin-off series is going to be for the Mandalorian. But there's a lot of speculation that it's going to be like Ahsoka, or at least Ahsoka or somehow get her own show at some point. And if you're talking about Laura Harrier versus Rosario Dawson, I mean, maybe it came down to those two, and they're like, we're going to give her a lead show. You're going to go with Rosario Dawson on name value, like, if nothing else.
Yeah, amazing actress. You should be happy she plays this character. And action-wise, she was incredible.
So, small prediction based on what Max and I were talking about. Does Ahsoka show back up this season?